Welcome back to our special State of the Economy show. The NSO, the country's premier statistics body, has just said that in their estimation, this year the GDP, the real GDP of the country will be 7.3%. That's the strongest estimate on the street. The State Bank of India estimate is 7.2. RBI's estimate is 7.0. And the CNBC-TV18 poll was 6.8. So this is a good half a percentage point more than the average on the street. But importantly, the nominal GDP is the same as what the average is on the street. We got a poll of 8.9, and that's the nominal GDP. This is basically actual amount of goods and services produced plus their increase in prices. That gives you the nominal GDP. It's agricultural growth that's dragging it down. Their estimate is this time it will grow only by 1.8%, but services 7.7 and industry at 7.9 are the strong pillars. I've been speaking with Dr. Pronab Sen, Dr. Soumya, Kanti, Ghosh, Madhavi, Arora and Shubhada. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. Let me come to Shubhada on the note. Shubhada, what do you think is a good estimate of the number going forward? Ultimately, this estimate gives the government the base to forecast next year's nominal GDP and hence deficit. So what do you think they will say?
You're asking about the real GDP and the nominal GDP?
And nominal, more importantly, nominal, really.
Yeah. So nominal, I would think, would go up to 10.2 or 3%, for the simple reason that this time, obviously, the wholesale price index numbers would have brought it to a very lower number of nominal GDP.
That's right.
But going into the next year, we could see some improvement, even if our own estimate of real GDP at 6% and about close to 5%, 4.8% on an average is CPI. But if I add the WPI, I would think it would be broadly in a band of 10.5% is what I would think would be the nominal GDP. As far as the elements of growth are concerned, Lata, taking forward from what Dr. Sen was also alluding to earlier, our worry would be consumption. Now, between the rural and urban consumption, to my mind, would start emerging to be a worry on two counts. One is obviously the leveraged consumption has been now of late correcting. The second part is also related and tied to the underpinning of spending, which is jobs growth. And in many of the surveys in recent times, right until November, we have seen that the job growth actually has been in some pockets showing contraction, particularly from IT, BPO.
Oh, yes.
These kind of elements of job concerns. Yeah. Absolutely. Would start somewhere impinging on urban consumption also on the downside. So consumption, to my mind, will continue to be a pain point for some time. And to the point of CAPEX, I would think the point that we continue to, I wouldn't say ignore, but do not discuss as much is not just the corporate private CAPEX, but the household CAPEX, which has been significantly getting better and better post the COVID shock of FY21. We have actually seen that growing by 20% in FY22. And looking at the sales of dwellings and construction, that is what we would look at household CAPEX related to, has been very impressive. So I would think this year, the forthcoming year, is going to be a story of CAPEX, which is going to get more broad-based.
Well, that'll be good. But Dr. Sen, coming back to the question we were discussing before the break, do you think we can prolong the CAPEX cycle by keeping consumption controlled, apparently the China model, so that productivity and capacity in the country improves? I mean, is that a model that works?
Look, Lata, it's a model that's worked for us as well, right? The question is, how much can you or should you compress consumption? Because CAPEX cannot feed on itself. Consumption is essential for CAPEX to stay up. So there has to be a balance. So you can have CAPEX couple of percentage points higher than GDP growth and consumption a percentage point below. But you can't move consumption to 3 points below and CAPEX to 6 points above. That is not sustainable.
Now for winding up comments, Soumya, Kanti, Ghosh, the number itself is a cheerful number. Today we go with a very positive headline that the NSO estimates a 7.3% growth. But what would be the other takeaways?
Yeah, I think Lata, just play me a small devil's advocate at the end of the show. I think the household sector investment is a part of a broader definition of the informal sector.
Yes.
So if the household investment in physical assets is actually going up, then that implies the informal sector is not doing that badly. This is just a definition from the NSO. So therefore, my speak is that while we may debate over and consumption growth of 4.4% in the overall and investment growth is around 10% full year, I believe that the headline numbers do paint a story which shows that India's growth rate, I think no one at the beginning of the year could have expected that India would land up with a growth rate of 7.3%. Most of us were below 6%. So from that point of view, I think that should be taken with a fair degree of optimism, and let's hope for that the consumption also picks up in the coming days.
Okay. Well, I take your point, but the same data which told us that there were high physical assets also told us that household savings has fallen to a low of 5.1%. Financial savings. So we should worry about that as well. By the way, we must note that the real rural wage growth momentum has really fallen. So that ties in with the lower consumption. Per se, that's a humanitarian worry for a country where already per capita income is just about 1.2 lakh rupees. We should worry about that. Dr. Sen, winding up comments, sir.
As Soumya said, I think, we go away actually feeling quite good.
Yes.
But at some point, we have to really ask the question that are we in a situation where we are going to depend upon the now totally discredited trickle-down theory for growth to actually affect people's lives in a very, very positive way. And that's where the consumption story worries me. I hope that turns around quickly, but at the moment, I'm not holding my breath.
Okay. Well, point taken, sir. Well spoken. Thank you very much, Dr. Sen, Soumya, Madhavi and Shubhada for parsing the numbers for us.